Park Chang lives a pretty normal life with his wife, Miho. They have ups and downs like any couple. One morning, Chang decides to use Miho's ointment to make his skin look better, but Miho gets angry at him for it. After they both get ready, they head off to work. Miho is a nurse, and some of her coworkers are jealous because she is married to a lawyer. They think Chang makes a lot of money, but Miho insists she didn't marry him for the money. That day, Chang has an important case, but he ends up losing. Outside the courtroom, a crowd gathers and criticizes Chang, calling him Big Mouth because he talks a lot but loses all his cases. Chang sits with his father-in-law, Guy Kwong, to discuss what went wrong. Miho calls them, but neither wants to answer because they know she'll be upset. Finally, Chang picks up and tells Miho he lost again, which means no money is coming in. Miho is frustrated and even suggests getting a divorce. Chang tries to get Guy Kwong to help convince Miho otherwise, but it doesn't seem to work. That night, Miho has a few drinks and Guy Kwong packs Chang's bags. When he hands the bags to Chang, Chang asks his father-in-law to talk to Miho for him. Guy Kwong can't do much, but the next day, Chang shows up with a large amount of money, hoping to win Miho back. Miho is surprised and wonders how Chang got all that money. But there's a secret behind it. Chang meets with Mayor Choi, who gave him the money. The mayor wants Chang to take on a case involving 3 men. These 3 men were involved in a car accident, and a dead body was found in the trunk. However, Chang is not really meant to be their lawyer. The plan is for Chang to act like their lawyer, while the 3 men handle the case by bribing judges and doing other illegal things. Chang is hesitant to accept the case, but the mayor says he wants him to find the truth. There is a dashcam video hidden somewhere that might reveal what happened. Chang agrees to the job and visits the 3 men in prison. The 3 men, Dr. Han, Du Guyan, and Shaebong, think Chang is the perfect person for the job because they see him as a loser who will do whatever they say. Unexpectedly, they get a call from the warden, who tells them someone has given the police an anonymous tip about the dashcam video. It turns out, Chang is the one who made the anonymous tip. He also places a hidden recorder in their cell to listen to their conversations. Chang learns from the recording that another person has the dashcam video and informs the mayor. Together, they go to a studio where Ms. Jiang, Dr. Han's wife, is filming a cooking show. That same day, a mysterious man tries to attack her, but she is saved. Chang asks her about the dashcam video, but Jiang denies having it. Chang then plays the recording from the prison for her and warns that she could be charged as an accomplice if she doesn't cooperate. Jiang decides to give Chang the video and also tells him about Gong Ji-hoon, a big newspaper president. When Chang watches the dashcam video, it shows the 3 men killing Professor Seo. Before he dies, Seo says that their secret will be exposed. Chang starts to improve his financial situation because of the mayor's payments, and he takes Miho to a fancy dinner. But then he gets a phone call and has to leave. A kind waitress gives him a free coffee, but the drink is drugged. Chang starts feeling dizzy while driving and ends up crashing his car. After the accident, Chang wakes up and remembers meeting his wife for the first time. Meanwhile, a man searches his car and steals the dashcam video. But that is not the only problem. The police search his office and find drugs, a lot of cash, and even some gold. Chang is arrested, and the media label him as a notorious criminal called Big Mouse. Chang tries to get help from Mayor Choi, but the mayor refuses and says Chang should have been more careful. In prison, the 3 men decide that Chang is no longer useful and plan to kill him. Just as they are about to execute their plan, Gong Ji-hoon calls the warden to stop them because he believes Chang has stolen money from him. The warden stops the execution, and Chang has to adjust to life in prison. He sees Miho on TV, talking to reporters, saying she tried to visit him but was not allowed to. Later, a prosecutor questions Chang, trying to figure out if he is Big Mouse, even using a lie detector on him. But when the important questions are asked, the scene shifts away, leaving the answer a mystery. Gong Ji-hoon tells the 3 men in prison not to harm Chang because he needs to find the stolen money first. The warden watches this and finds it entertaining because some people want Chang dead, while others don't. The warden then talks to Chang and asks if he is Big Mouse. Chang denies it, But the warden doesn't believe him and gets angry. Disappointed, Chang feels like giving up on life. He picks a fight with a prison leader named Chun-sik, but realizes that he still has the will to live and manages to win the fight. Chang then confronts a serial killer, hoping to get him to kill him, but instead, the killer breaks down in tears when Chang talks about his mother. This incident makes the other inmates start believing Chang really is Big Mouse, since only someone like him would be so fearless. Later, Chang pretends to try to escape just to provoke the guards into shooting him, but they don't because the warden orders them to stand down. The next day, the prisoners are taken to clean the drains, and things get chaotic when they are served terrible food. Chang, now embracing the persona of Big Mouse, starts a small riot. The prisoners throw buckets of waste at the guards, and when things get intense, the warden steps in. Chang then whispers to the warden that he will kill him and the three powerful men if his life continues to be made miserable. The warden backs off and lets the prisoners get better food. Soon, Chang learns his lawyer has come to visit, and Miho joins too. She has received divorce papers but doesn't want to go through with it. Chang explains that he wants to protect her, which is why he suggested a divorce. However, Miho refuses to give up on their marriage and promises to stand by him. Later, Chang is put in solitary confinement, where his identity merges with the persona of Big Mouse. His inner thoughts echo Carl Jung's idea that a person can become the character they keep imagining themselves to be. When he returns to the general prison population, Chang is a different man. The other prisoners look up to him for what he does. Chang then asks his fellow inmate, Jerry, to spread the word that he will grant the wishes of other inmates. A few prisoners come to him with requests. One asks him to find his missing daughter, who disappeared long ago. Another, the serial killer, asks Chang to help his sick mother, who is in the hospital. Meanwhile, Miho begins a new position as a medical caretaker at the clinic where the city chairman's significant other is working. She is doing this in the desire for tracking down more data about teacher search engine optimization. As per the dashcam video, teacher search engine optimization could have abandoned a paper that will consume a few influential individuals. She begins functioning as a guardian for malignant growth patients and before long needs to help one of them when their heart stops. Miho gives them CPR and recovers the patient. However, rather than lauding her, Hyun reproves her. Miho is new, and she doesn't realize that the family members of every one of the patients on this floor have marked a request not to give CPR to their kin in cases like this one. Miho views this as extremely peculiar and irritating. However, she must be cautious and figure out more intel. At the point when she enjoys some time off outside, she sees a man from the clinic attempting to persuade a lady to sign a similar request for her general, who is a patient in the emergency clinic. Back inside the jail, the three influential men call the superintendent for a discussion and clarify that they need to kill Chang. The superintendent can't permit them to make it happen, however, in light of the fact that he has various orders from Jian. Then again, he can't express no to the large heap of cash that the three men are offering him. They are simply requesting that the superintendent look the alternate way once. Before long, the three celebrities accumulate a few detainees for this mission, and the watchmen secure them in a space with Chang and his supporters. The two gatherings begin battling while the chronic executioner gets a blade out and begins strolling toward Chang despite the fact that he has been acting like a supporter. The room chief sees him and bounces on his way, saving Chang from the assault. The superintendent needs to intercede and stop the battle since, in such a case that he doesn't, Jihin will sort out he was a piece of this. The following day, another episode happens in the clinic when Miho administrates 2 milligrams of a medication to a patient. The head nurture chastens her, since she ought to have given him 1 milligram. To determine their contention, they investigate the patient's card on the PC to figure out what his solution is. The measurements is to be sure 1 milligram, however Miho says that someone has changed the number since it was 2 milligrams before. She has verification of it since she has taken a screen capture on her telephone. Afterward, Jihin assembles the staff in the gathering, and Miho chooses to go into all-out attack mode. She hops up while Jihin is talking and tosses a snare by saying that she has perused teacher search engine optimization's paper. As indicated by it, they're doing numerous things inverse to the right clinical approaches. While Miho drives back to her home, she has a dreadful inclination like someone is looking after her. Fortunately, she meets with her dad and can get back securely. As they do, she gets a call from the city chairman who requests that she meet face to face. Inside the jail, a progression of occasions happen that work for Chang. One of his aggressors kicks the bucket inside his cell in isolation. The gatekeepers accept that this person finished himself since it is basically impossible that another person can get in there. Nonetheless, there is a sure detainee who can't quit shouting that large mouse killed this man. The specialist comes to see this shouting detainee and reasons that he is thoroughly nuts. At the point when a lot of detainees are delivered to everybody in the cafeteria, everyone is focused on them since things might get tense among them and huge mouse. At the point when these folks plunk down to eat, one of them is harmed and passes on. Every one of the detainees watch accepting that enormous mouse is taking his rivals out individually. Simultaneously, Chang thinks about enormous mouse being inside a similar jail and really being the person who outlined him. Before long, Jae-hoon visits the jail to sit down briefly to chat with Chang and requests that he get his cash back. Chang won't give it to him. Yet Jae-hoon thinks about how he can be sure Chang is huge mouse. He shouts that enormous mouse worked with some street pharmacists and requests that he get the names of the top street pharmacists he worked with. Chang doesn't have the foggiest idea about these names, so he answers that he jumps at the chance to keep his clients protected and hidden. Jae-hoon isn't persuaded and allows him 5 days to let him know the names, or, in all likelihood, he will accept he isn't huge mouse, and he will kill him. At the point when Jae-hoon leaves, Chang assaults a watchman to get his hands on his telephone and calls the city hall leader to ask him for the names. The chairman has gotten that rundown of names from the investigator. However, he will not help Chang and hangs up on him. Inside the jail, the superintendent and a portion of his watchmen survey the recording from the cafeteria, and they understand that the one who passed on gulped the cyanide pill. This implies that he finished himself and was not killed by huge mouse. The superintendent arranges his men to look through Chang's cell. However, they see as nothing dubious in it. Superintendent Park confesses to Chang that he knows his mysterious. He jumps at the chance to be revered, yet he didn't kill those men. Chang claims that he didn't need to utilize his hands to kill those men. Yet how could they be persuaded to end themselves? In the interim, Miho is as yet being followed, so she texts her dad for help. Mr. Gi and Sun Tai, a legal counselor who's Chang's companion, capture the man and put him in cuffs. The man uncovers that he is the city hall leader's secretary, so Choi visits Miho to explain what is happening. As he guarantees, he was stressed over her since she specifies CO's paper, so he had his secretary follow her to ensure she would be fine. He likewise gives her a rundown framing enormous mouse's best 5 medication clients. Miho burns through no time, and she visits her better half to give him the rundown. Inside the jail, a lot of wagering cards begin being carried inside as the prisoners go off the deep end with expectations of who will win the conflict between Huge Mouse and the 3 celebrities. The gatekeepers attempt to stop this wagering franticness. However, Huge Mouse faces the 3 celebrities straightforwardly and lets them know that he has a method for demonstrating he is large mouse, so they put down a bet on it. Simultaneously, Choi meets with Jihin in a craftsmanship exhibition, and the strong media man uncovers that the rundown he had given the examiner was phony. Chang will give him the phony names he gave them, and that will demonstrate to him that he isn't exactly enormous mouse. Choi attempts to call Chang to caution him, yet without any result, as the telephone is in the possession of the superintendent. Before long, the gatekeepers get Chang from his cell and take him toward the gathering room. The group applauds Large Mouse as he strolls through the jail while the city chairman advances inside the prison. Choi needs to stop to chat with Chang. However, the superintendent can't permit him to make it happen. He arranges his watchman to remove Chang, and the legal counselor before long meets with the 3 celebrities. Jihin is likewise hanging tight for him, since he will be a piece of this game. Choi can't miss the tomfoolery, so he goes along with them in the gathering room. The superintendent frames the principles of the game. Jihin will compose the names of the main 5 medication clients of Large Mouse on a paper, and afterward he will overlap it so it's not possible for anyone to see it, Then, at that point, Huge Mouse will compose similar names, and they will contrast the papers with check whether the names match. Everyone is anticipating that Large Mouse should lose. Yet they are amazed to see that the names match impeccably when they unfurl his paper. A few prisoners are exceptionally cheerful when the outcomes get out, as they have won their wagers. Back inside the gathering room, Choi ponders internally that Chang is Huge Mouse and has been playing him. Then again, Jihin declares that he can't really accept that Chang is Huge Mouse. He illuminates everybody that a man named Peter Hong has been captured, and he will actually want to let them know if this is Huge Mouse. Peter Hong is the asset director to whom Large Mouse gave his cash, so he can wash it by making ventures. To be sure, Chang is taken to the cross-examination room, so Hong can see him, and the investigator inquires as to whether this is Enormous Mouse. Nonetheless, Hong's morning timer rings, and he needs to have his insulin chance. He has a chance before he can respond to the inquiry, yet he winds up biting the dust. Then, Jian has a confidential talk with Choi and inquires as to whether he is Huge Mouse. Choi feels a piece awkward. However, Jian shouts that he is simply kidding. As their discussion uncovers, there is some ill will between the two. Evidently, there is a man nicknamed the Senior who runs the city and has made the two of them what their identity is. Jihin is desirous in light of the fact that the Senior blessings Choi more than him. Afterward, Jihin welcomes Miho to supper since, in such a case that she truly is Large Mouse's better half, she is basically as risky as him. He converses with her about Teacher Web Optimization's paper and offers to get it from her. She should simply to name a cost for it. Miho won't haggle with him, so she simply leaves. At the point when the profit from the wagers are disseminated, Chung pays a cash to the superintendent and requests that he stay away from him. The three celebrities are stressed over the most recent turns of events, and they begin envisioning how Enormous Mouse will kill them. Before long, Jihin visits the jail again to converse with the three influential men. However, at that point, he likewise staggers on Large Mouse. As they talk, Jihin gets a call from his significant other, who lets him know that someone sent her a few roses that should be sent when there is a memorial service. Evidently, this is a move Chong made to warn Jihin to avoid his better half. Afterward, Chong gets his hands on Dr. Han of the three celebrities. He expresses that he has seen the video, and he knows that Dr. Han was possibly driving when he and his companions killed website optimization. This implies that he won't be condemned as an executioner when the opportunity arrives for their preliminary. In any case, since there is no video accessible for the specialists, Chung maintains that him should come clean in court. Dr. Han can't actually do that, yet Chung shows him a hard example by practically killing him. At the point when they wake Han up once more, he is persuaded that he ought to do as Chung is telling him. Meanwhile, Miho chooses to pursue the head nurturer around the emergency clinic since she is taking a few dubious actions. Miho winds up in an extra space, yet she can't find the head nurturer anyplace, as though she evaporated. The gatekeeper and Miss Hyun go into the extra space and advise Miho to come out on the grounds that they have seen her through the cameras. Miho comes out imagining that she is getting a few clinical supplies. Hyun requests that she leave, and afterward reminds the gatekeeper that he ought to never enter the mysterious compartment inside the extra space. The man remarks that the past medical clinic chief used to let him know exactly the same thing. The following day, Choi meets with Miho to tell her that her better half has been deceiving every one of them, and he truly is Large Mouse. Miho can hardly imagine how, yet Choi makes sense of that the rundown he gave her was loaded with counterfeit names of medication clients. Nonetheless, Chang gave the genuine names when he confronted Cheon. That very day, the staff from the medical clinic volunteer to accomplish some dental work on the detainees, and Miho gets an opportunity to meet with his significant other one-on-one. The principal thing she needs to know is on the off chance that her significant other is Huge Mouse. As they talk, the superintendent is looking after them, yet Chang as of now thinks this. She takes Miho out to the yard at a region where the superintendent won't be ready to pay attention to them and comes clean with her. One day before the go head-to-head with Cheon, someone put a sack on his head from behind and put him to bed. At the point when his companion Jerry awakened him, Chang found a tarot card on him with 5 names composed on it. He had no clue in the event that this was a stunt or not. so he couldn't say whether he ought to utilize the names Choi gave him or the names on the tarot cards. In any case, when it was the ideal opportunity for him to meet with the three celebrities, Choi stayed with him, and he looked stressed. That is, the thing caused him to comprehend that something is off, and he utilized the names from the tarot card. Since that day, the genuine large mouse utilizes tarot cards to speak with him. Chang interprets the importance of the cards and acts likewise. At the point when a card is put in its not unexpected bearing, he realizes that the genuine huge mouse will follow through with something. At the point when the card is put topsy-turvy, he realizes that he needs to accomplish something himself. Simultaneously, Han has some confidential time with a significant other and needs to engage in sexual relations with her. However, Chang would rather not, on the grounds that there are cameras in the room and someone may be watching them. Han blows up and he thrashes her. At the point when the medical clinic staff leaves the jail, Miho sees the injuries around Chang's neck and tells her that she can help her, assuming she really wants help with a way. That evening, Miho gets a call as she gets back. The lady on the opposite stopping point is a lady found in the medical clinic a couple of days sooner, when a man was attempting to persuade her to sign the clinic's bizarre agreement. The lady uncovers that search engine optimization's paper exists, and it is concealed in a piece of gems. Search engine optimization moved toward her before he kicked the bucket in light of the fact that the lady used to make gems and requested that she hide something inside a piece of gems that seems to be a cross. As the lady talks, a professional killer shows up behind her and pushes her to her demise. Miho goes up against Hyun about the cross since she has seen it around her neck. However, the chief makes sure to her the cross, so Miho can inspect it. Miho makes a respectable attempt and pulls the cross from each point. However, there isn't anything concealed within it. At the point when she gets back, she watches a video of a structure where Hyun and Zhang are talking. She and the remainder of the gathering understand that Zhang is wearing a neckband with a cross image within it, so this could be the piece of gems they are searching for. A flashback is set off, and we are shown that Yang met teacher web optimization on a night when she was running from home since Han mishandled her. Website optimization dealt with her, and both of them steadily experience passionate feelings for. Sooner or later, website design enhancement gave her the jewelry as a gift. Back in the present, the three celebrities are going to be taken to the court where Han should come clean. However, the superintendent has avoided potential risk, and Chun's six-pack holds Han back, so he won't demolish things for the other two. Chung begins chuckling in light of the fact that this has been his arrangement from the start. At any rate, he realizes that Han wouldn't come clean assuming he left this jail. Chang's supporters imagine they are battling with Chun's 6 young men. During the battle, they break the sculpture of the Heavenly Mary inside the congregation. Chang's genuine arrangement is to get an enormous mouse. He will supplant the sculpture with another one. However, the upgraded one will have a camera introduced to it. Along these lines, he will actually want to see who visits the congregation to give him the tarot cards. Meanwhile, one more malignant growth patient bites the dust in the medical clinic. Miho needs to learn more data, so she visits the patient's family members to offer her appreciation. While she is around them, she hears that the agreement the family members marked expressed that the dead understanding must be incinerated, not covered. This makes Miho dubious on the grounds that it seems like a prudent step. On the off chance that a body is covered, someone might run tests on it later. Miho makes a move and visits the medical clinic's funeral home that evening to draw some blood from a dead body. As she leaves the mortuary, Yin hangs tight for herself and orders the gatekeepers to look through her. Nonetheless, Miho has played it brilliant and doesn't have anything on her. She gets back to the mortuary when she is let be and recovers the containers with the blood. At the point when she enters the lift, a professional killer bounces inside it through the lid on the top and attempts to kill her. Fortunately, Choi is close, and the professional killer is compelled to take off when the lift entryways open. Inside the jail, Chen keeps an eye on the camera a couple of days after the fact and understands that Jerry has been coming all through the congregation. In any case, he likewise sees that the video avoids 30 minutes, and that implies that someone has altered, most presumably the genuine large mouse. This implies that Jerry isn't huge mouse, yet rather he just came into the congregation coincidentally. Before long, Jerry is drawn nearer by Jihin, who vows to purchase his opportunity, assuming he gives Chung to drink some toxin tea. Jerry does as such. However, he laments his turn and illuminates Miho that her significant other is enduring a food contamination. Miho and her dad mediate without a moment to spare and save Chong. Then, at that point, they say thanks to Jerry for his assistance and proposition him some cash as a type of appreciation. As Chong is sleeping in the clinic, a watchman sticks his thumb and uses the blood to sign a paper. Then, at that point, he meets Jihin in the parking garage and gives him the marked paper. Miho invests some energy with her significant other when she awakens. Yet the watchmen don't permit her to remain long. Before long, Chong is taken outside, and he embraces his better half before the officials remove him. On the way, Chong understands that the watchmen are not bringing him back to jail, so he attempts to battle them and departure. The watchmen offer him a chance that makes it lights-out time for him, and Chong is taken to a psychological refuge. Chong fantasies about being back in the jail's congregation while Large Mouse moves toward the admission corner. Chong gets him from behind. However, Large Mouse is wearing a cover. Both of them battle, and Chong figures out how to eliminate his cover. Yet all he sees is his own face. At the point when he awakens, Chong acknowledges he is in a white room. He is tied and contained, unfit to take any actions. The medical attendants play with him, since they have clear directions not to permit him to rest. The examiner clarifies for Jihin that they are doing this to build the adequacy of reality serum they will infuse Chong with. At the point when they do as such, Chong begins seeing a few dreams. He sees a mouse jumping on his leg. However, at that point the room is loaded up with mice, and he is scared. Jihin inquires as to whether he is Huge Mouse while he is still affected by reality serum. Chong answers he isn't, and Jihin then asks him where he has stowed away the cash he took from him. Chong answers that he has not taken his cash, but rather than nods off for several seconds, dreaming about a trip he had with his significant other on a mountain close to their city. At the point when he awakens once more, Jihin is going to infuse him with a second portion of reality serum. The examiner cautions him that a subsequent portion could cause a heart failure, yet Jihin couldn't care less. This man isn't letting him know where his cash is. Chong needs to remain alive, so he provides them with the name of the mountain he had chatted with his significant other. Along these lines, he delays. Jihin and his partners go to the mountain, and they dig where the cash should be. Despite the fact that they find a wooden box, there is just a single bar of gold within it. Jihin gets back to the refuge and requests to get the remainder of his cash. At the point when Chong hears that Jihin discovered some gold, he understands that Huge Mouse is looking after him, even here. Before long, someone causes a fire inside the shelter, and Chong can break free. Notwithstanding, a major solid male medical caretaker hinders him, and they begin battling. One of the firemen that tempest into the shelter helps Chong, and he is demonstrated to be Jerry. Jerry removes his previous fellow prisoner from the refuge and gives him the keys to a vehicle that he can utilize. Chong needs to understand what's going on, and Jerry uncovers that Large Mouse paid him to save him. Chong contemplates whether Jerry met Enormous Mouse, yet the young fellow has no time and drives away. Sadly, Jerry is captured by the police, and he is harmed as he attempts to get away. The police are searching wherever for Chong, and the detainee staggers on a barricade soon thereafter. The cop who is looking at his vehicle pulls his telephone and analyzes the face he is seeing to the one of the criminal on his telephone. The official permits him to leave while the camera shows us that he has a tattoo behind his ear. The following morning, Miho and the remainder of the gathering choose to make a move. They release a data to a show that has 800,000 supporters on the web to discuss the instance of Teacher Sayo. They likewise go on a descent outside the town hall, guaranteeing that Chong didn't get away from guardianship, but instead was stole. At the point when she sees the investigator, Miho lets him know that he really wants to go about his business, and the last option requests that she give him her telephone so he can ensure that she isn't assisting him with stowing away. Chong calls before long Tar and requests to talk with his better half to quiet her down. He says that he will uncover everybody, including Huge Mouse. A flashback uncovers that the new superintendent has consented to assist Kong with tracking down Enormous Mouse. The method for doing it is via looking on the off chance that any prisoner has a tattoo that looks like a plan from the tarot cards. Before long, they find such a tattoo on a detainee, and Chang examines the reality with the superintendent. After one day, the previous superintendent gets back to the jail. However, this time he will be a detainee rather than an official. He thinks for even a moment to slap Gans, yet the new superintendent shows him who is in control now. Before long, Gans accumulates the detainees once more and presents them with Park and a few different prisoners who were found with the tattoo of the tarot plan. He proclaims that Large Mouse has fabricated a whole association which is supporting him. The men he is giving them are important for this association. The superintendent prompts the prisoners to bring him Enormous Mouse and commitments that he will lean toward anybody who tracks down Huge Mouse. Moreover, the superintendent explains that Chang isn't Huge Mouse, and he has been playing them this entire time. The detainees begin beating Park to persuade him to provide them with the genuine name of Huge Mouse. However, Chang bounces en route to stop them. Later, Chang blasts into Gan's office, and both of them have a conflict. The superintendent clarifies that he is the manager inside this jail, and he will run it a way he sees fit. Chang calls the city chairman expecting to take care of the superintendent. Yet Choi says he is in a gathering and hangs up. Meanwhile, Dr. Han tracks down his ex-Yang and announces that he can't survive without her. Zhang attempts to avoid him. However, their gathering winds up in a battle, and she is killed. The city chairman races to the spot and deals with the dead body. He additionally takes her telephone and goes through her messages, understanding that she has been in contact with Miho. Miho should give her some blood from the detainees for assessment. The city hall leader calls Gon and lets him know something significant. When they hang up, the superintendent proclaims that he needs to kill Chang and Miho this evening. At the jail yard, Chang advises Park that he needs to meet the genuine Large Mouse, and this is the last admonition he is giving them. In the event that Huge Mouse neglects to show up, Chang will quit helping him or some other individual from his association. That evening, Chang trusts that Large Mouse will show up while someone switches off the lights inside the jail. At the point when Large Mouse shows up in obscurity, Chang lights a lighter to see his face and understands that Huge Mouse is the room chief. The primary thing Chang needs to know is the reason Large Mouse picked him rather than another person. Huge Mouse makes sense of that he accepted Chang should have been saved. Then at that point, he says that Jehun and the Seniors Association are liable for his girl's demise, and he won't rest until he rebuffs every one of them. Chang shouts that he would rather not be a piece of this game any longer. However, Enormous Mouse lets him know that he will kill him in the event that he pulls out. Chang needs to recommend another arrangement to Large Mouse, yet the scene slices to the superintendent's office, where he is planning to kill Miho. His most believed monitor assaults Miho, yet she is saved by the psycho-executioner detainee. Then, Gon Saochul seems to complete the task himself. However, Chang intercedes before he can pull the trigger. Before long, Park and Large Mouse make it into the room. The previous superintendent has resentment against Gon and kills him with his own firearm. Presently, it is the ideal opportunity for Chang to take his action. He calls Jehun to advise him to come to the jail since he needs to terrify Choi. Then he binds Large Mouse and is going to hand him to the specialists. A flashback shows us what was Chang's mystery-managed Huge Mouse. In plain words, Chang will turn into his legal counselor when he is delivered. He will safeguard him in court and will set bail for him. Huge Mouse will pay the bail, and he will be free. Back in the present, Chang turns Huge Mouse into specialist while the city hall leader and Jehun watch. Chang approaches Jehun to let him know that he can get his cash back at this point. Before long, Chang is delivered and turns out to be Huge Mouse's attorney. The correspondents find this improvement extremely intriguing. However, Chang consoles them that he will take care of his business morally. Somewhere else, Jehun meets with the senior, who is going to compensate him for tracking down Enormous Mouse. The senior is going to give the offers he claims of Jehun's All's organization, creating him the main individual who has some control over the organization. Nonetheless, they are interfered with by Hyun, who turns the television on the grounds that the senior needs to see something. Chang is going to a question and answer session and cases that he is pursuing individuals who are liable for all the grimy stuff happening in their city. The senior is frantic hearing this and takes his gift back on the grounds that clearly Jae-hoon didn't follow through with his task. Jae-hoon attempts to persuade him that he will deal with Chang. However, the senior announces that they shouldn't misjudge this man, since he is the person who tracked down Huge Mouse. A couple of days after the fact, Large Mouse makes bail, and he is allowed to live external jail under certain circumstances, for example, being followed continuously by the police. Chang gives him a ride to his old cafe, and Enormous Mouse begins portraying that he lived it up with his little girl here. At last, he welcomes Chang to visit his eatery tomorrow evening, so he can meet the most elevated positioned individuals from his association. Yet when Chang leaves, the structure detonates. After the police have closed their examination, Chang enters the structure to investigate. However, he is gone after by a professional killer. The professional killer nearly cuts him. However, Jerry shows up with one of his companions, and they stop the executioner. Right straight away, Jerry takes Chang to a gathering of the association where they watch a video abandoned by Huge Mouse. He makes sense of that since they're seeing this video. He is now dead. He makes sense of that someone needs to succeed him, and he proclaims that Chang will be the new Enormous Mouse. Park could do without that choice, yet there is no other viable option for him. Regardless, Chang lets him know that he doesn't plan to be Huge Mouse until the end of time. He might be Large Mouse until he gets done with his task. Before long, Tai likewise strolls into the gathering, uncovering that he has been a piece of the association from the beginning. Leave continues to inconvenience Chang, so he ties him up, traps him in a vehicle, and washes him in gas. Presently, Park has just two options. He can either acknowledge the choice or leave the association. Simultaneously, the City Hall leader is gone after in the rec center he uses to swim, yet he figures out how to shield himself and stays alive. While this is all occurring, Yoon visits the mysterious lab inside Gunshin Medical Clinic and witnesses the privileged insights that lie inside. The series uncovers nothing to us yet. Then, at that point, she chooses to annihilate the mysterious lab and visits the senior to examine her move with him. The senior is vexed. However, Yoon makes sense of that she just obliterated the lab since it was sufficiently undependable. She will fabricate another lab and just have believed individuals working in it. Yoon makes it one stride further and says that she will require an assets to get sure that all that will going accurately. She requests to get the portions of Jae-hoon's organization, and the senior gives them to her. Obviously, Jae-hoon is exceptionally irritated about it, yet there is no other option for him. Meanwhile, the city chairman converses with the journalists about the assault that occurred one day sooner and prompts them not to cause presumptions about the assailants until the police to have something trustworthy for them. That evening, Jae-hoon has a couple of beverages with his companions, yet there is a shock anticipating for him the following day. Chang calls him and requests that he meet. During their gathering, Chang attempts to persuade him to take him to see the senior. Chang makes it interesting to him by guaranteeing that he will help him in overcoming Choi. He realizes that both of them are rivals. Before long, Chang goes to a question and answer session, and he declares that he will run for City Hall leader in the impending political decision. Sometime thereafter, Jae-hoon chooses to have Chang as a partner and takes him to the senior. During this surprising gathering, Chang guarantees that he is Enormous Mouse. However, the senior realizes that Large Mouse is dead. Chang pronounces that his association is compelling him to turn into their next Enormous Mouse. Assuming both of them cooperate, nonetheless, perhaps they can help one another. The senior can't understand how he could help by functioning with Chang. Yet the last option gives him a rundown with the names of the main 10 individuals from the Huge Mouse Association. Chang maintains that the senior should uphold him in turning into the following chairman of the city, since this is the main way he can overcome Huge Mouse's association. The senior will likewise profit from this, since he will have no one hindering him. The senior requirements to consider it. Yet he actually welcomes Chang to his birthday tomorrow evening. At the point when they stroll outside, Choi attempts to threaten Chang by letting him know that this is a conflict he can't win. Meanwhile, Miho and her dad make a significant disclosure when they find an elderly person in a nursery home. As they figure out later, this man has been the senior's old colleague. He maintained that their organization should be moral. However, the senior had proactively picked a course for his business tries. In plain words, he simply needed to bring in cash and didn't mind who might get injured simultaneously. Since this man betrayed him, the senior made a mishap hurt him. However, there is something else. City Chairman Choi is this man's grandson, and he chose to switch characters when he was as yet youthful. He did this to deceive the senior, so he could never comprehend this is his accomplice's family member. Choi expects to pursue retribution on the senior. The following day, Choi persuades Park to work with him so they can dispose of Chang. That evening, Miho goes to the senior's birthday, yet her significant other is mysteriously absent. Park kidnaps him and kills him while he is on a video call with Choi. At the point when Miho finds out about this, she attempts to go after the city hall leader. However, Choi simply grins. The city chairman goes to see Park in the distribution center where Chang was killed, yet he can't see his body anyplace. Park lets him know that he discarded the body, and Choi frames how he will assume command over the city. Meanwhile, Chang is fit as a fiddle. This was only a stunt. Chang has everything on camera, and he shows the video to the senior to persuade him that Choi will hurt him later on. The senior accepts he just tracked down another partner in front of Chang and consents to help him in anything that he might require. Having Chang as the city chairman is better compared to having Choi. Then again, Choi realizes that he needs to move quickly. That evening, he meets with the senior and kills him by infusing a medication into his circulation system. Then at that point, he enters the senior's office to take his will and gives it to one of his assistants so he can change its items. The following day, the senior's memorial service happens and everybody joins in. Obviously, spirits get warm pretty quick and they wind up battling. Somewhere else, Miho visits the psycho executioner in jail, and he uncovers that the detainees began feeling more regrettable when they were taken to chip away at a passage. He accepts that the water pipes there hurt them. Before they head out in different directions, the psycho executioner requests a last blessing. He maintains that Miho should track down his kin and inquire as to whether his mom is improving. Miho tracks down his kin, yet they will not converse with her. Tragically, she additionally understands that she is wiped out in light of the fact that her nose and gums are dying. The following day, Jihin likewise takes action and meets with the lawyer, who should open and peruse the senior's will to all interested parties. Jahun believes the lawyer should revamp the items in the will, yet the lawyer won't do as such. Jihin attempts to pay off him, yet that bears no outcome also. Before long, the will is going to be opened, and everyone's extremely restless to hear what it peruses. In any case, everybody is astonished when they hear that the senior has passed on portion of the organizations to Hyun and the other leftover organizations to Choi. They generally read the will with their own eyes and begin battling as they are left with only the offers they currently own in their organizations. Choi takes his significant other, and both of them leave quietly. That evening, Choi imagines that he will uncover a major mystery to his significant other. However, his mystery is only obviously false. The ongoing city chairman flips the story and uncovers that he is the grandson of the senior's old colleague. He claims to be an uncertainty of the justification for why the senior passed on portion of his organizations to him. He, as far as anyone knows, contemplates whether he is sufficient to deal with the obligation, or on the other hand, on the off chance that the senior just gave him the organization since he is his close buddy's grandson. Hyun is committed to supporting her better half, and the race for the political decision begins right on the following day. Choi has numerous associations, and he begins showing up on each channel to persuade individuals of the city to decide in favor of him. Chung and his association follow their own practices while he has no clue about that his better half is visiting a specialist. Miho has played out some blood work, and the specialist reports that she is experiencing malignant growth. He prompts her to make her arrangements for what's in store. Miho realizes that she has restricted time, so she returns to her significant other, and she becomes inebriated. Both of them take a stroll close to the lake and have some good time together. The following day, Jihin needs to go to a gathering alongside his companions in general. Everyone is quiet since they fear Choi and Hyun. Since they have all the power in their grasp, Jihin attempts to go against them. Yet that's what Hyun explains in the event that he doesn't help out them. She will assemble a board conference, and they will eliminate him as the chief of his organization. Jihin feels feeble, Yet he meets with Chung to offer him something that he could possibly use against Choi. He uncovers that the senior has a child who is living in America. This person is a psycho, and surprisingly, his own dad didn't maintain that he should be here. In any case, assuming they track down him and carry him into the country, perhaps he can interest to get a portion of the items in the will. Meanwhile, Miho is educated that the psycho-executioner detainee is in the medical clinic and he is going to pass on. She continues to visit him, and the man gets some information about his mom. Miho lets him know that his mom is improving now and the psycho-executioner can pass on in harmony. Right straight away, his sister uncovers to Miho that the psycho-executioner detainee isn't exactly a psycho. He assumed the fault for a rich man who was a psycho-executioner without a doubt. They required the cash to save their mom, and that is the reason they consented to the man's suggestion. Miho visits Hyun and gives her a rundown of all that she knows. She shouts that enough individuals have passed on as of now and prompts Hyun to stop whatever she's doing. That evening, Miho invests some energy with her better half. They get something to eat while she additionally assists him with his political mission. In any case, Choi takes a striking action the following day. He finds the one who directed a digital money trick a couple of months sooner. Chang was the lawyer of the casualties in those days, and he lost the case. Choi pays the con artist to let the media know that Chang lost the case for his clients on the grounds that the trickster paid him great cash to do as such. In any case, Miho is likewise working effectively of uncovering more mysteries that can consume Choi and Hyun. She finds a fish ranch which utilizes the water coming to them by some huge water pipes associated with an organization named NK, Synthetic Compounds, which used to have a place with the senior. The man responsible for this fish ranch uncovers that NK, Synthetic Compounds, produces water squander while they create and refine their medications. This water is harmful and should be discarded in some way. They thought of an answer and discard the water at this fishing ranch. This water can be deadly if a human beverages it. The fish are additionally destructive, yet the man asserts that they don't sell the fish. They're simply developing them so they can look like a genuine organization. While this is all occurring, Choi and Chang want to banter on television, and both of them attempt to trap each other into confounded contentions. Back at the fish ranch, Miho gets a recording of the man in control admitting, while the remainder of the team gets all of the proof they can find. Back in the studio, the crypto trickster posed the inquiry to Chang to make him seem to be a terrible individual. Miho realizes she ought to rush to help her better half, and Jerry drives her to the studio. The troublemakers attempt to stop them, however, a few individuals from the huge mouse association from the police assist them with moving quicker through the roads. At the point when Miho shows up in the studio, she snatches the mic and uncovers to the world that she has malignant growth. She got the disease by interacting with the water from NK, synthetic substances. She plays the video recording from the fish homestead and uncovered reality, starting an outrage. At the point when they get a second alone, Chang attempts to be quiet while addressing his significant other. However, Miho is more quiet than him and assists him with managing what is going on. Fights begin occurring all over the city while the examiner calls Choi for a cross-examination. Meanwhile, Chang meets with Hyun to tell her that she is going down and prompts her to make the best choice. He will lose his better half on account of her messy work the same way that many individuals are losing their friends and family. In spite of all that has been going on, Choi actually wins the political race and stays the chairman of the city. It's not possible for anyone to trust this. However, Miho prompts everyone to remain positive. Out of nowhere, they get a bundle from Hyun, who has chosen to make the best decision. She has sent them a burner telephone that Choi used to use in the past for his mysterious correspondences. As the days go by, Miho continues to deteriorate, yet she can't miss the impending preliminary where this burner telephone may be the lead which will send Choi to jail. Sadly, however, Choi is out in front of them, and one of his associates guarantees that the telephone has a place with him. Aside from that, they have modified their messages and calls, so there isn't anything detestable about this burner telephone. Choi is delivered without confronting any outcomes. Miho kicks the bucket a couple of days after the fact. In the wake of offering his appreciation to his significant other, Chang makes a move and meets with Choi at the exercise center where he swims. Chang uncovers that he has purchased this rec center, and he is its proprietor now. Since the law neglected to rebuff Choi, he will be the one to rebuff him. He previously did, as a matter of fact. Choi considers what Chang is attempting to say, and Large Mouse uncovers that he has filled this pool with poisonous water from NK synthetic substances. Choi is impacted by the water, and he bites the dust directly before Chang.